Recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios Brisbane on 102.1 FM and broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Zed Games. With 10 years experience and over 500 episodes, Zed Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture. Want to reach out? Message us on Facebook at ZEVGamesAU.
My name's Evie. I'm chilling out in studio today on my own again. Today, Zed Games. What are we going to do? Well, there's plenty to talk about. I mean, everyone's playing games now. So I guess like my show is full in terms of, things to talk about. So good for me. Content creation, So, what's on the show today? Well, usually what happens is we listen to some news. So I'm going to catch you guys up on what's been happening this last 7 days since I spoke to you in terms of gaming news and anything related. Then we also have a review tonight, a special review from Will from a game called Vigor. And he's been playing that on the Nintendo Switch. We will be hearing from him a little later as well. After that, there is another review from me, yours truly. I played a game called Moonlighter, which came out about a year ago, and you're going to listen to a little bit of my experience with that one. So yeah, lots happening. On that note, I think we should really get into this first part of the show. Kick it off with the news. This week in gaming news, PC Gaming Wiki is now tracking microtransactions in games. A new category has opened on the wiki page founded by Andrew Tsai, who says in a post on Monday that many PC gamers don't have a clue what they're getting into before they install the latest free-to-play game. These games could contain manipulative loot boxes, hopelessly unfair grinds, and game imbalancing pay-to-win unlocks. PC Gaming Wiki typically looks at things like hardware, software, and network related to gaming. It is a technology-focused platform. The idea behind this microtransactions monitoring project is to track gambling on loot boxes, cosmetics, game advantages, in-game currency, and pay-to-skip mechanics. This wiki will also keep an eye on monetization categories such as ad-supported, free-to-play, or subscription. It should be interesting to see what they find. Facebook have launched their very own video game streaming app. Facebook has decided to take on the streaming giants such as Twitch, Mixer, and YouTube. The launch of this streaming service wasn't to be expected until later in the year, however has officially come out now. You can watch now on the Facebook app, only Android currently, however, iOS is coming soon. You can also watch in your computer browser. You'll be able to follow streamers, talk in the chat to other viewers, as well as play games from Facebook's library and stream them. Some of the popular games to watch on the platform right now are Age of Empires, American Truck Simulator, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Grand Theft Auto 5, PUBG, and of course, Fortnite. These streams currently have lower numbers, but could change with the shift in algorithms that promote streams on the Facebook app. Let's see how Facebook take on the video game streaming world. Travis Scott will debut his new song in Fortnite this week. Travis Scott is a very famous Grammy-nominated rapper and producer who is going to tour in Fortnite from the 23rd to the 25th of April to release his new single, Astronomical. Travis Scott isn't just touring, he's also going to be a more permanent part of the Fortnite universe, since joining the Fortnite Icon series, which is the collection of in-game cosmetics that are inspired by artists and content creators. If you join the event, you'll be able to pick up an Astroworld Cyclone glider and 2 loading screens for free. If you'd like to check it out, Travis Scott's concerts will be hosted at different times and days. However, if you'd like to tune in from Australia, the Asia and Oceania concert starts at 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on the 25th of April. Other times will be linked on the Zed Games Facebook page at ZEDGamesAU. That's all this week in gaming news. Interesting week in news. A lot happening. I didn't realize that artists could tour in a virtual space via video games. What do you see? Look, I just learn things all the time. I didn't know that. That's going to be interesting to see how Travis Scott goes down in Fortnite. Should be an awesome show. He usually draws a crowd, and I think I watched late at night once Travis Scott's, I think it was an autobiography, kind of like following a documentary of his life on Netflix. So he's an interesting guy, and I hope he has a really successful tour. So please check that out. PC Gaming Wiki. So microtransactions in games. Well, this is a point of contention for a lot of people, especially developers. It's always an interesting conversation to have in terms of, loot boxes gambling? What point is it gambling? Is it always gambling? And so on. This would have been something fantastic to chat about with some co-hosts, but I'm going to give you my brief opinion and my small opinion on the issue, which is that I think it's hard to gauge something, whether it's addictive or not, because if you ask me, anything can be addictive, whether that's biting your nails or putting coins in slots. I think that there is obviously a point where something becomes addictive, and that can always be difficult to tell. So it should be interesting to see how this project works out with PC Gaming Wiki, and how they keep track of that, and how they determine whether something is taking advantage of players or not, or whether people are becoming hooked on the mechanics of a game. So yeah, I mean, I get addicted to certain types of game feelings, which I think is kind of a lot of the point with game developers, is that you look at trying to make things feel so good that you want to repeat that process. Like if anyone has played Apex Legends, there is a particular feature where you can crouch and sort of slide down a hill, so you can sort of slide places. And you can only do that once you've sprint, and then you can slide and sprint and slide, a little bit like a slide tackle in a football game. And you can use that mechanic. It's very addictive. It feels really good. And I think that's something that you aim for. So I guess looking at what's addictive and at what point things become more than just a game mechanic and become something that you're hooked onto. Whether money is involved or not, I think that having something more-ish is important. But yeah, we'll leave it up to you guys out there to decide what that is. Boy, have I got a treat for you now. Will has been playing a game called Vigor. It's fantastic, and he's going to talk about it. So I'm just going to get straight into it, and let's see what Will's been playing.
I think every time I record a review or have a review of any kind, I always say that it's from one of my favorite studios, which I think is funny, but I just have so many favorite studios. So today we're going to be reviewing a game called Vigor for the Switch. This game was developed by Bohemia Interactive, published by Bohemia Interactive, audio was made by Bohemia Interactive, and the platforms this game will be available on is Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. This game was relaunched for Switch on August 19, 2019, and is currently in closed beta. So, what is Vigor? Vigor is a third-person survival game or a looter shooter, which I really like that we get to see for Switch. But it also have me making doubts now. But without further ado, let's jump into it with Vigor. So, Vigor doesn't really have a narrative at all. It has some few explanations to give some names to things, but overall, Vigor is a third-person survival shooter or a looter shooter. The game has no story, but takes place in a post-apocalyptic Norway after the world apparently was nuked out of existence. There seem, however, to be some world powers still in charge, since there are military airdrops being consistently dropped in areas. Vigor's opened up with you choosing your Outlander, which is the name for the survivor in this game. You're then guided through a tutorial by a person on the radio named Elena, and once you get through the tutorial, the story is pretty much over. From there, your narrative is like any survival game, just surviving. And we're going to get into that more when we get to the gameplay section here. So, what is the game? What is the gameplay of Vigor? Well, Vigor is an online looter shooter, borrowing the playstyle from games like Tarkov, and also mixing some elements of a battle royale. And I want to start this little tour through this game in the hub. So when you're not in any kind of match or anything, you're going to be in a little hub world where you have your house that is really, really deprecated. Like, it's holes in the roof, there's no bar, and there's no cocktails ready for you. You know, it's not a nice place to be. But in this little house, you can find every type of crafting, from crafting materials to crafting new weapons, to your store, getting new gear for your character, or for your Outlander, as he's called. And there's also, I saw some hints at possibly be able to fishing. It's set in Norwegian fiske, which means fishing, so I'm hoping for that in the future. But other than that, you also have a really cool little shooting range where you can practice your aim, which I'm going to come into, because that is something that is needed for this game. But so this is a little hub world, and basically your goal is just to upgrade it. So as you go, you will see your house progressing and becoming more nicer and nicer. And from what I saw, because I didn't get that far, I only got about half, I think, but from what I saw, you basically look like a normal house when you're done. Like a normal cozy house up in the fjord in Norway. But as I said, when you're not in this hub world, you'll be going out to get loot. This is done through jumping into scenarios, basically, very much like Tarkov does. Either you can do it alone or together with a friend. Basically, you're dropped into a map and you're pit against a set of other Outlanders, about like 8 or 9 or so. And your only goal is to go and loot, kill, and survive. You always have the option to leave the game by getting to one of the safe points, where you then jump out of the match. And if you die during one of these scenarios, then you lose everything you found and everything you have on you. But there is one exception to that. You can, in the pre-menu game, or pre-scenario, you can, together with the other Outlanders, invest hard currency or currency you bought for real money to get either better loot, or you can get an insurance for yourself where you don't lose anything if you die, any of the things you brought in. You still lose the things that you would have looted during the scenario. Or you can get better airdrops, which then brings in you to the second objective of being in these scenarios. Is at the late game of it, there will be a loot drop that drops that has a lot of really good materials for you, like weapons and other like premium materials to create premium guns like AKs and M4s and stuff like that. So it's really cool how the game gives you kind of a dynamic where you can just be a looter. You can just go in without anything and just try to loot and survive, while some other players will go in with really good weapons and just camp the airdrop and wait for anyone to go there, or wait for the other looters to loot up, and then when the game is getting to a bit of a late stage, they go out hunting and just trying to get the best weapons they can. Which really gives a very dynamic playstyle, similar to what Tarkov have, but getting that kind of like battle royale feeling of a circle getting smaller by having people migrate to where this airdrop is. The gameplay itself is relatively fun and straightforward, showing a nice concept, but from my experience playing the game, it was more frustration. The third-person controller does not translate well at all to the Switch controller, making it really hard to aim and move in a satisfying way. Things that are really important in a third-person survival game. And that's where like the stuff from having the shooting range in the map, because in the hub, because I was practicing a lot, and even with playing around with different having different settings for the sensitivity and stuff, I just couldn't get it to work. There's no kind of auto lock aim or anything like that, and I'm not unfamiliar with playing on console games like Battlefield 3 and stuff like that, but I'm also not the biggest pro at it, so it might just be that I'm the wrong target audience. But for me, it was just frustrating trying to get a good shot on people. It would mostly be me trying over-aiming every time I try to shoot, or my character being too slow to aim. So for me, this game really doesn't fit, at least not in the same way as games like Ghost Recon or The Division, where you have a third-person camera that's really satisfying to use. And maybe since this is in closed beta, we can hope that it will get better for when they release it. From what I've seen on the Xbox One version of the game, it looks really good. But as I said, the game does some cool things, like having the pre-game scene where you can, together with all the other survivors, basically boost up the match, like making the airdrop be more premium stuff, or being more loot on the map. And I think that's a really cool way of kind of like getting a community feeling into it, where you're all like, we're going to invest in this round to make it really high stakes. Or you can do some clout things and be like, well, I'm just going to pop in all my money here and show you that I'm going to get this money too easy. You guys got nothing on me. Which I think is a really cool mechanic, which I would like to see more of. The game's leaderboard system is also pretty interesting, where it have you donate your food to climb the leaderboard, which kind of gives you a choice of ranking up versus having your food, which kind of is like, are you going to be kind and get better ranks, or are you going to be greedy and not get a better rank? So I thought that was really cool. Jumping to audio for this game, being a survival game, sound is extremely important, and making the game feel real and impactful. And I found that the game succeeded with this very well. There was many times where I would really consider what gun I was using, or consider if I should crawl or walk or run, as the sound on that was really distinct. The soundtrack is really nice, cool. Being set in Norway, which is not really a normal game setting, was really nice, and they managed to fit that in perfectly with, if we take the trailer video as an example, it sounded really good. The gun sound effects also sounded very enjoyable and solid, which is usually one of the things that I can complain about every now and then, but they hit it right on the spike with this. Overall, Vigor is an interesting and new experience that takes elements that are proven to work. The game tries some new things with this, but are very interesting and sets the stage for some interesting community play that I would love to see more of. However, the game does feel a bit clunky, and a majority of my experience was unsatisfying. The play controller is hard to use and leaves combat to be avoided rather than desired, while the narrative in the game is one that is fairly beaten to death. It is awesome to see some new settings that could lead some very interesting gameplay scenarios. The audio in the game is great and the progression makes sense, and being a free-to-play game, I say it's worth picking up and trying it out, and just seeing what it's like.
Thank you so much, Will, for your insightful review on Vigor. We are now going to move into a very exciting review from yours truly. It's called Moonlighter. I will leave it up to past me to describe to you the experience I had with the game.
So today we're going to be talking about Moonlighter, which is a game developed by Digital Sun and published by 11-Bit Studios and Merge Games. It came out on the 29th of May in 2019, and I've been playing it on the Nintendo Switch. It's also on other platforms such as PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, for Mac, Windows, and Linux. It is a action-adventure RPG and a business simulator, so let's get right into it. Basically, it's set in a distant world where strange ruins appeared filled with mazes and puzzles that you have to solve. Will is the game's protagonist and wannabe hero who dreams of finding awesome loot to sell in his shop, which is called Moonlighter. You also get to kill lots of dungeon monsters and get lots of cool loot and stuff. Each dungeon is named after the people who attempted to loot them. However, as time has gone by, dungeon crawling for rare finds hasn't been very lucrative. So in order to find rare and expensive items, you must go deeper and deeper into the labyrinth-like dungeons, which can become a very high-risk investment, especially since you don't have a lot of room in your backpack. So basically, Will is a merchant, and he has a shop called Moonlighter in a little town called Rhinoka. I think I'm saying that right. Where by night, Will searches in dungeons, for items, and by day sells them in his store. Moonlighter has a sweet little pixel art style, which couples nicely with the dungeon crawler genre. The animations are cute and simple, which flow well with the overall visual design of the game. From a gameplay perspective, Moonlighter is a randomized dungeon diver where you go off and search for loot, but you also have a side hustle as a shopkeeper in town. The game is divided into these two major components that work really well together. On one side, you have the action-adventure aspect, where there are procedurally generated dungeons, where you fight bosses, collect gold and items, and of course, fight lots of enemies. Then on the other side, there is the shop, where you must consider consumer demand, whether you get upgrades, whether you spend gold on a new equipment or to expand the town to further the game's progression. These two elements come together well and feed each other. You will dungeon crawl for items and then essentially sell them in your store at a price of your desire. The tricky thing is managing the greed factor. It is very easy to get carried away in a dungeon searching for more items. However, if you die, you can say goodbye to those recently gathered finds. The shop requires good management skills, and learning all you need to learn when it comes to the shop is taken at a slow and steady pace. So from a tutorial perspective, everything is very much eased onto you, which is very smooth and enjoyable. The dungeon crawling was also excellent, but my only dig would be some of the fighting mechanics were a little rough, and sometimes it was hard to gauge the distance between myself as the player and an enemy, which therefore led me to taking a lot of unnecessary damage when I was in a fight. Some of the little features that was a nice touch though is this pendant you receive early in the game that converts items into gold. This allowed me to clear space in my inventory while on the go. However, you do have to consider the value of the items you convert with the pendant will actually be less than what you can sell in your store. There is a lot to focus on and consider from a gameplay perspective, which makes this indie game a fantastic experience. Exploration and achievements are a very big focus with this game. From a music perspective, the sound is very cinematic, with pleasant melodies that propel you further into adventure. The soundtrack is made up of sweet little guitar riffs and floaty sounds of the piano. This combined with charming orchestral elements. The score generates feelings of mystery and curiosity. David Fenn composed and produced the soundtrack for Moonlighter, except for Pablo Caballero, I think I said that right, composing and producing the original announcement trailer for the Nintendo Switch. There are 26 songs that comprise the soundtrack, which are delightful and cheery at times, and then there's the mysterious and dangerous sounds of the dungeons. The overall sound of Moonlighter complements the visuals and gameplay experience wonderfully. Moonlighter is a highly praised indie game that has over 1,400 reviews on Steam. From a development perspective, this game has been a huge success. I would like to reference an article that actually discusses the success of Moonlighter from Gamasutra, which touches on the stages of development and how to get success from your indie game. There will be a link posted in the Zed Games Facebook page if you'd like to check that out. Overall, my time with Moonlighter was fantastic. It is a brilliant game that teases your greedy bones, it challenges you and encourages you to explore further in every dungeon, especially when you're trying to find something rare and expensive to sell in your shop. This game is a management experience where you must consider the economy, your business, and your personal goals as the player. Moonlighter has so many items, enemies, and features that there's even a wiki on Gamepedia for all your ponderings. The visuals, the sounds, and the feel of the game is charming and really makes you feel like a merchant in a fantasy adventure world. I highly recommend this game for people who are driven by strategy and achievements. If you'd like to purchase the game, it is available on Steam. It is also available on the Nintendo eShop. It's developed by Digital Sun and published by 11-Bit Studios and Merge Games. Action, adventure, RPG, and business simulator. Fantastic game. Be sure to check it out. And that's all from me.
Thank you, Past Me, for that fantastic review. Ah, boy, it's been a great episode, and we're coming to the end of our time together this week. But before I go, I would like to talk about some positive things to look forward to in the future of our beautiful industry that is the games industry, where we make lots of fun things and lots of things for people to play. There are some pretty awesome AAA games coming out in the future / this year. And on the 26th of June, Ghost Tsushima will be coming out.
That'll be coming out on PlayStation 4. There is also, apparently in the summer, we're not sure yet, but Tell Me Why will be coming out as well. I'm looking forward to Wasteland 3. Marvel's Avengers, which comes out on the 4th of September this year. If you're out there, Mum, that is my birthday. Keep that in mind. Comes out on PS4. I want it on PS4, in case you're listening, Mum. Yeah, just letting you know. Okay, cool. There's also Cyberpunk 2077, which is expected to come out on September 17th. There were delays early in the year, as I'm sure a lot of people who are hyped for this game know. Keanu Reeves is in it. Really excited. That's also another fantastic game that's got a lot of hype, so let's hope that that doesn't get pushed back any further. There is also Halo Infinite, which is supposed to come this year. Let's find out when that's going to happen. I've been a huge fan of Halo pretty much since the very first Halo, so I was pretty little when that came out, and I still love the game, so that's exciting. There is also Godfall, Outriders. I think there's some speculation around Diablo 4, but I think those are just rumors for now, because reality is it takes a long time to develop games, and they may have put out a really interesting teaser trailer, but I still think that's at least maybe 2021, maybe 2022, who knows, but I think that's a while off. And there is The Last of Us Part 2 that's also supposed to come out, but that has been delayed, unfortunately. Good news is it's still expected to come out this year, so don't stress too much. There's Disintegration, Little Nightmares 2, Watch Dogs Legion, Spelunky 2, and Psychonauts 2. So there's a lot of stuff that's expected to come this year. Lots of games to play. Hopefully we don't have to be in self-isolation for all of this year, I would hope, because as much as games are fun to play, it's also fun to play D&D and go to friends' houses and play games. You can play games in so many different ways. But yeah, I hope you've been enjoying your time listening to Zed Games on 4ZZZ and wherever you are on the community radio network around Australia. My name is Evie. It's always fun spending some time with you and listening to awesome music or listening to fantastic reviews. I'm going to say goodbye now, and I hope you all stay safe out there and that you're having plenty of fun playing games. So have fun, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Zed Games. If you'd like to listen to more, check out our podcast on Spotify or follow us on social media at ZedGamesAU. See you next time.